So YouTubers are evolving. They're getting better. They're getting more skilled. It started off a little something like this, and now it looks a little bit more like, say, something like this. Now, we're talking about Deji versus Swarmz. A very interesting fight. Both guys who have kind of lost in the beginning and who are now taking boxing much more serious. One, we have a little bit more boxing videos for, so we can kind of gauge how good Deji is because of, again, all the experience, all the fights we can watch of him. Swarmz, not so much, but he did look great in his last fight with Ryan Taylor before he got that one punch knockout, or TKO, technically, or doctor stoppage, whatever. That he got that from one punch, and apparently he's either Ryan Taylor had an injury before the fight, and that kind of just was the nail to, you know, the nail in the coffin moment, the needle, the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't know why I said needle, but maybe that's the reason why, or maybe Swarmz is strong. Maybe he's powerful. It's not really far-fetched. I literally just watched all their most recent fights. I'm not gonna go into every single one, mostly like the recent ones. I'm not gonna go too much into the one with Deji and Mayweather because I feel like it's not really fair. I don't think Deji's gonna go into this fight with anything that I don't think he learned. I mean, he probably learned a bit from the Mayweather fight, but nothing I don't think that he can apply to Swarmz other than just strong fundamentals and things like that. I'll go into my prediction after I talk a little bit about both of them, and I'll start with Swarmz because he's a very interesting guy. So Swarmz is I believe he's a rapper, and he got short notice on the fight with KSI because KSI was supposed to fight Dylan Dennis. That didn't happen. So wait, was it Dylan Dennis? I'm not sure. There was the two fights one night. He fought Swarmz first, I believe, and then Pineda second. There's a couple things that you can take, even though you can tell, one, he was a little scared, which is okay. It's his first. It's like his first ever boxing match, so just fine. He had a little nerves, but there's plenty of things people laugh at and we can talk about, obviously, and we can make fun of. But there's actually a few things that we can talk about that were interesting that he did, or even good. For one, Swarmz had a few natural instincts in that fight that were peculiar. For one, his footwork. Now, of course, but the moment I say that, you're probably going to think of, oh, well, yeah, he was running, and then there were times in the fight where he was like twirling around and spinning. I think both him and Pineda did that. I think, I'm not sure, but in the fight with Swarmz, he, like I said, he showed some things that were interesting. He caught KSI with a couple shots. I mean, all jokes aside, he caught him. I believe there's a moment where KSI is stalking, he's coming in, and he kind of backs Swarmz up, and Swarmz pops him one quick right to the point where KSI's head literally like jolts up. So it looked like it had a little bit of power on it. I don't even think KSI even looked like a little, you know, like, oh, okay. You know, it didn't phase him, it didn't wobble him, obviously, but it was enough to mush him back before he literally like spun out, literally right after that punch. But also his footwork, his distancing. He had a natural. Some people will just run into you and they'll run into punches. He kind of wasn't. He kind of respected KSI's power very early on, and he was just trying to get away from him, essentially. Trying to time a couple overhands or cross. I think it was overhand. It looked weird when he did it. I think it was supposed to be like a hook or something, or like an overhand right or something, but it came out like this. You could see him trying to time it. Again, it's like a natural instinct. He was trying to time KSI when he was coming in to hit him with that. It didn't work, but it's just interesting that he thought that way in the fight. Also, again, I keep getting off subject of this. The footwork. He knew when to go out, when to come in. He would come in, maybe try to get a couple, you know, hits in, and then go back. His feet, if you watch it, they're not. He's not just slamming into KSI. He's kind of moving back and forth a little bit, and mostly back to get away from those power punches. Interesting. And he hit KSI a couple of times coming in. Like I said, he seems to have natural instincts. And he moves pretty well. He can kind of move, and that's just the first fight, you know. And again, we all know how that ended, obviously. But that's what we can take note of. So then we go into the Ryan Taylor fight. In this fight, now it's like, how good did he get? How good did Swarmz get in that fight with Ryan Taylor? Now this one's really interesting because this is only one fight after that fight. So he fought KSI, lost TKO, I believe, went back to work and started training. So when he started training, you can see in the Ryan Taylor fight some of the things he was doing in the first fight with KSI that he kind of sharpened. He immediately comes in, one, confident, his stance, very interesting. He keeps his this hand to guard, and he's jabbing already. I think he went for a body jab, double jab into a body jab. Already he looks good. There are times where Ryan Taylor, in that very short fight, there are times where he kind of pressures Swarmz a little bit. And Swarmz does two things that are kind of interesting. And one, of course, there's the jab, pops one really quick, boom. And then there's the other thing where he ties him up again, and he doesn't do it like he has to think. He just does it. The jab just comes to him when he comes in running, and he does. And then even when he comes in, he has a natural kind of head movement, much more completely different than that first fight. He looked good. I think most people that watched that fight were surprised that he came out looking as confident, as smooth, as good. Still kind of nervous energy, kind of jittery, you know what I mean? But it seems like he transformed it a little bit. At first, it was just nervous. I don't know how to box. I'm just, again, pure instinct. And in this fight, it was instinct, but sharpened a little bit, and he looked good. And I mean, he stopped Ryan Taylor. Again, I don't know if it's because Ryan Taylor came into the fight with an injury, or if Swarmz just hits that hard. Here's the thing about it is, if he does hit hard, he might be a problem for Deji. Because if we're going into the fight before the Mayweather fight, again, we're not really going to count that. Because, you know what I mean? Why count that? He did show some interesting things. The good things that he did do, he showed a little bit more head movement. You need it. He was really good with the guard because it's Floyd. You don't want to get hurt. You don't want to get concussed. You don't want to get CTE. You know what I mean? He did what he was supposed to do with what he could do with Floyd. He showed intelligence in that. He wasn't going to go crazy and go stupid. You know what I mean? You can argue that he should have went out on a shield and just fought crazy. He fought safe, which, you know what I mean? If I fight Mike Tyson, he's probably going to knock my ass out. You know what I mean? But he'll have less of a chance of knocking my ass out if I cover up. You know what I mean? I mean, he'll probably still knock me out, but he'll have less of a chance if I'm moving, if I'm, you know what I mean, if I'm moving, if I'm shelling up, if I'm guarding, whatever. And I'm trying to pick my shots. And that's what Deji did with Mayweather. And it is what it is. No harm done. You got to do what you got to do. You're fighting someone that's leagues way better than you. So we're not going to count that. We're going to go to his fight with Fusi. A lot of interesting things in that fight when it comes to Deji. For one, very composed. Not freaking out, not too jittery, not scared. Kind of balanced himself out. In the Alex Wasabi fight, he was a little too scared to engage with actual offense, but the defense looked good. He was, you know what I mean? He was bobbing, weaving, everything. He just wasn't really punching much. In the fight with Fusi, he comes in and he looks good. You know what I mean? Again, composed, and it's kind of balanced. Has a lot of offense, a lot of jabs, double jabs, a lot of right hands. Actually, I believe he came in southpaw stance. And the main thing to take from that is just the composure. He didn't overdo it like he did with Vinny Hacker. He didn't underdo it like he did with Alex Wasabi. Very, very even. He was doing a lot of step back and counter. He was doing a lot of jabbing. He knocked Fusi Tube down with a southpaw jab. Boom! Knocked him down. It was beautiful. He looked really good. And again, with the composure, he's not like the opposite of what Fusi was. Fusi was very, very stiff, especially top heavy and just stiff. The legs were like all weird. He'll punch and the legs are just kind of, he just looked heavy and stiff. And he paid for it very much in that fight. He was getting jabbed to hell, knocked down, just bounced all over the place. Credit to him for getting in the ring and for, doing that. It's not easy for anyone to just get in the ring and get punched in the face. So he got beat up. Deji was fluid, moving around, pressuring when he needed to, not overdoing it, not underdoing it. Excellent. Now, how do these things, what I've just talked about with both of the guys, play out into the regular fight? The actual fight. How does it play out? What have I stated already? From Swarmz, good jab, obviously. Good movement. Good footwork. He knows when to come in, when to come out. He can move side to side. He can move very well. And he's got head movement. Very hard to track. Very hard. He's not just, you know, standing still like a big target. That's why it's going to be the opposite of what the Fousey tube thing was. If the training Swarmz on that style that he seems to naturally have, which is very elusive, kind of elusive and quick. Boom, boom, boom. I can see it being a very hard fight for Deji because it's not going to be like the fight with Fousey, where Fousey was just kind of a still, stiff, big target. Very squared. You pick your shot. You can hit me in the face. You can hit me in the chest, the stomach. It's all open to you. That's what Fousey did. Unfortunately, nothing against him, but that's why he got beat up again. With that elusiveness and all that Swarmz has, it's going to be very hard for Deji to just simply boom to do what he did to Fousey. He's going to have to chase. He's going to have to set some shots up. He's going to have to get Swarmz to react a lot, and it's going to be tough. But if he has a smart game plan, Deji seems to have some power. He seems to hit hard, so he might just boom end it, maybe. Or if Swarmz is tougher than we think he is, then he might just be. For Deji, like I said, you're gonna have to plan your shots. You're gonna have to set some good things up because the guy's quick and he's got head movement, and he can move around. So you're gonna have to know where to hit him, when to him, all that, while also being composed as he was in the Fousey fight. Now for Swarmz, one weakness I'll say on Deji's end in the fight with Fousey is that because he was so composed and just kind of lax, you didn't really see a lot of head movement, and he was very confident, which maybe just because it was Fousey and he wasn't moving much. He wasn't really moving his head a lot. His head was, he did a lot of offense and he was just kind of there still. He would come forward, throw Deji I'm talking about. He would come forward and throw all these shots and he would just be there right after. You know what I mean? He wouldn't be ducking and dodging. There are a few times where he did that. Fousey would throw some strong overhands and he would duck. So he did duck in that fight. But for most of his offense, he didn't move much. Even Fousey caught him a couple times with some good shots. So having that kind of stillness and just calm, just coming in with someone who's moving and doing all this, jabbing you and moving back and jabbing you, you're coming in to hit and then they hit you again. Like I just said, Deji's going to have to really, really trap him and set him up. Because it's going to be hard trying to hit a guy who's just moving and grooving, you know, all over the place. My prediction of the fight is rough because both of these guys are showing decent improvement and they both look good. They both look like they've evolved. I'm going to say I think Swarmz may beat Deji. He may not knock him out. If he does, again, because we don't know if he's powerful. What I do know is that he's slick and he's fast and he moves very well. And if he just uses that alone, jabs him out, moves, jabs him out, hits him with a right cross, moves, it's going to be really hard for Deji to catch up to him. And if he does that the entire time, he might have a nice point victory on Deji. If he's really strong, though, he might TKO Deji. But I think it might be a point victory. I'll be surprised if well, not surprised, but I guess I wouldn't be surprised if he has power and if he's strong enough to hurt Deji and stop him as well. So I'm gonna go Swarmz winning this fight. I think Swarmz is gonna beat Deji because of those things. But that's my prediction. But I'm not completely closed, and I'm not gonna say that Deji can't win. I do see where Deji can win. The thing is can he pull it off? Has he been training hard enough to where he can beat someone that has this kind of style? And if he does, then he'll beat Swarmz, and I'll be wrong. But as it stands, I think Swarmz' style is going to be is pretty hard to train for, and I think it's going to be rough for Deji to. And it might not be. Deji might make it look easy. It's a possibility, but realistically, I don't see it being that easy for Deji to just walk through Swarmz at this stage. And he's been training a lot, so he's even better now than he was in that Ryan Taylor fight. So we'll see. But also Deji's better. So. Better than he was in that Fousey tube fight. So when the fight comes, we'll see. Again, my prediction: Swarmz takes it. It either might be easy or it might be a little bit of a fight, but he will. I think he'll outpoint Deji and win. I will be talking a little bit more about the main fight, which will be KSI and Fournier. I'll talk about that and who I think will win between that fight and all that stuff that I kind of just went through. Regardless of who wins, I'm just happy to see these guys improve. I'm really excited to see it. Also, again, as I just said, the KSI fight, really excited to see how much he's improved since his last fight. But that's been this video, and I will see you guys in the next one with my KSI v Fournier prediction.